Hi there. It's December 21st and time for Proverbs 21. We're using the New King James Version, and we're also paralleling it with the New Living Translation just to compare back and forth. It's kind of interesting. So let's get into it. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, like the rivers of water. He turns it wherever he wishes. Yeah. The king. Every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord weighs the hearts. Okay. To do righteousness and justice is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice. Yeah. To do what's right is better than to just give money and hope you are paying for your evils. Yeah. Yeah. In the Living Translation says the same thing basically. The Lord is more pleased when we do what is right and just than when we offer him sacrifices. Right. A haughty look, a proud heart, and the plowing of the wicked are sin. Plowing. Lamp. Plowing and lamp. Yeah. Let's look up this word haughty, shall we? Because they both say haughty. Haughty. Arrogantly superior and disdainful. Well, so an arrogantly disdainful look, a proud heart, and the plowing of the wicked are sin, or evil actions, it says in the New Living Translation. The plans of the diligent lead surely to plenty, but those of everyone who is hasty surely to poverty. New Living Translation puts it a different way. Good planning and hard work lead to prosperity, but hasty shortcuts lead to poverty. Like that. Plan everything out. If you're starting a business, it's very important to have a business plan. And business plans, when I wrote my business plan, it was about 80 pages long. I'm going to cover every facet of your business. Verse 6, getting treasures by a lying tongue is fleeting fantasy of those who seek death. Well, getting treasures by a lying tongue. Right. Reminds you of a lot of members of Congress, huh? We're going to leave that alone. Verse 7, the violence of the wicked will destroy them because they refuse to do justice. Eventually, this will happen. Drag them away. Verse 8, the way of a guilty man is perverse, but as for the pure, his work is right. Better to dwell in a corner of a housetop than in a house shared with a contentious woman. Verse 9 says it's better to live alone in the corner of an attic than with a quarrelsome wife in a lovely home. Verse 10, the soul of the wicked desires evil. His neighbor finds no favor in his eyes. Verse 11, when the scoffer is punished, the simple is made wise. But when the wise is instructed, he receives knowledge. Right? If you're wise and smart, you take all this stuff in and you use it. The righteous God wisely considers the house of the wicked, overthrowing the wicked for their wickedness. Right? Yeah. And in the New Living Translation, it says, the righteous one knows what is going on in the homes of the wicked. He will bring disaster on them. Right? They always crash sooner or later. Short-lived. Verse 13, whoever shuts his ears to the cry of the poor will also cry himself and not be heard. Got that? So, and the NLT says they will be ignored in their own time of need. Right? A gift in secret pacifies anger, and a bribe behind the back, strong wrath. Yeah. Is that a good thing or not a good thing? I don't think bribes are ever a good thing. Right? It is a joy for the just to do justice, but destruction will come to the workers of iniquity. Right? You just got to think about the way the world's going today when you read these things. Sooner or later, it'll all crash down on them. Verse 16. A man who wanders from the way of understanding will rest in the assembly of the dead. Get that? In the NLT, it says the person who strays from common sense will end up in the company of the dead. Right. Common sense is very scarce these days. Verse 17, he who loves pleasure will be a poor man. He who loves wine and oil will not be rich. Get that? Pleasure, lots of pleasure. Just doing stuff you shouldn't be doing. You know, TV is a robber of all this stuff. The wicked shall be a ransom for the righteous, and the unfaithful for the upright. In other words, the wicked are punished in place of the godly, and traitors in the place of the honest. Eventually, right? Better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious and angry woman. Oh, in that desert. And NLT says it's better to live alone in the desert than with a quarrelsome, complaining wife. Makes you wonder if Solomon had trouble with his wife. He writes about that a lot. Verse 20, there is a desirable treasure and oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man squanders it. Right. In the NLT, it says, better the wise have wealth and luxury, but fools spend whatever they get. Right. You never save, you never have. I just made that up. Verse 21, he who follows righteousness and mercy finds life, righteousness, and honor. Right. 22, a wise man scales the city of the mighty and brings down the trusted stronghold. Verse 23, whoever guards his mouth and tongue keeps his soul from troubles. You got that? Keep your mouth shut. Right? Keep your mouth shut. Yeah, and it says it in New Living Translation. Watch your tongue and keep your mouth shut, and you will stay out of trouble. Got that? It is always best to keep your mouth shut. 24, a proud and haughty man, scuffer is his name. He acts with arrogant pride. 25, the desire of the lazy man kills him, for his hands refuse to labor. Right. Pretty straightforward, huh? He covets greedily all day long, but the righteousness gives and does not spare. Right. Now this kind of all goes together, even though there's a period there. Let's read it together. The desire of the lazy man kills him, for his hands refuse to labor. He covets greedily all day long, but the righteousness gives and does not spare. Always give to the poor. The more you give to the poor, the more God will repay you. It's been proven over and over again. The sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination. How much more when he brings it with wicked intent? Okay. There's a lot of philanthropists that give only to, puff up their own pride. A false witness shall perish, but the man who hears him will speak endlessly. See, now it says it differently in that New Living Translation. A false witness will be cut off, but the credible witness will be allowed to speak. Mainstream media is just nothing but false witnesses everywhere. 29. A wicked man hardens his face, but as for the upright, he establishes his way. Yeah. NLT says the wicked bluff their way through, but the virtuous think before they act. Interesting. There is no wisdom or understanding or counsel against the Lord. At that, no wisdom in that. The horse is prepared for the day of battle, but deliverance is of the Lord. And that's Proverbs 21. We didn't highlight a whole lot in here. To do righteousness and justice is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice. Right. The Lord is more pleased when we do what is right and just than when we offer him sacrifices. Today's sacrifices is mostly tithing and giving of your income and stuff. Back then they sacrificed animals a lot, doves and birds and sheep and goats, to cover their sins. But Jesus covered our sins completely, once and for all. So now our sacrifice is mostly giving of our money, giving of your time. Okay. What else do we highlight in here? 13. Whoever shuts his ears to the cry of the poor will also himself not be heard. Right? If you never give to those who need it, when you are in need, they will turn their backs on you. It says it right there. Highlighted 14 because it's kind of confusing, A gift in secret pacifies anger, and a bribe behind the back, strong wrath. It says the same thing over here. A secret gift calms anger, and a bribe under the table pacifies fury. So if somebody's really mad at you, you should offer them gifts. My favorite. About 60% of the entire Proverbs can be wrapped up in this one verse right here. Whoever guards his mouth and tongue keeps his soul from troubles. And I like it better the way that New Living Translation says it. Watch your tongue and keep your mouth shut, and you will stay out of trouble. Got that? Most of if there was like 3 or 4 basic rules of Proverbs, it is keep your mouth shut. Always be humble. Always give to the poor. Never lie. I mean, there's lots of them, but... And you get, if you can, when we finish these over and over, if you can have the basic rules of them embedded in your heart and your mind, then you will be very wise and knowledgeable, and then everything else will come after that. It says that over, it's been proven over and over again. So that's Proverbs 21 for December 21st. Stay tuned later for Luke 21 in our Christmas through Luke series. Until then, see you next time.